Okay, now we're live. So let's start with that question of where and when and how often do you pray?
Well, actually, I pray every day. I usually start out in the morning in our little chapel. Our house is a house that Jack built, but we cut out one little corner for a chapel, and we have the Blessed Sacrament, and I love to pray before the Blessed Sacrament. So I try to spend an hour there in the morning, and then in the evening we pray together. There are 3 of us now in our community. There were 4. One got sick and had to leave, but there are 3, and we just pray very quietly in the evening. One of us puts on some music, and we just listen to a sacred song of some kind, and then we just spend time quietly together and end with another song.
So how important have you found it or that you believe to belong to a faith-based worshiping community? Is that part of your own prayer life or something that you find of value?
Yes, I think it is. I remember saying to somebody once that before I entered, as I was growing up, I felt very alone. That my experience of God, I didn't see other people understanding it or knowing it. But having entered the society, I find other people who understand, who know that relationship with God in an intimate way. And that's very comforting to me and very encouraging. And especially when we have times of prayer together, that kind of mobilizes me to be there and to really pray with the others. But my community is wider than the 3 that are living together, because I have the church that I'm with on the Indian reservation. I have there's a priest there and a brother, both order in. And then there are 3 other sisters, missionary sisters of the Sacred Heart. And then there are some lay people who are very, very, I would say, holy. And when we pray together, there's just a sense of community, of being together. So I love that.
And how has your prayer life changed over the years and in your time in the society?
I'd say it didn't actually change so much as deepen. Even growing up, I had that sense of God calling. And I'm very quiet. My prayer is very quiet. And it just gets deeper and larger. Less focused on how I am praying and more looking at how the Lord is praying and how the Lord is looking at the world. And just that relationship not just with God but with other people, with the entire world, the entire cosmos, the presence of God, Creator in it all. So I think deeper and more enlarged.
And how has the Society of the Sacred Heart supported your prayer life?
I've often thought that if I weren't in the society, I would not have the prayer time. I would not have the opportunities of prayer that I have. Being enriched by the 8-day retreat in the summer, and I can't call it permission exactly, to have other times of prayer where I can go off and be alone. And actually, the surprise of my life, in a sense, was when I asked to go off for a couple of years in a hermitage. And that was a most enriching and deepening experience of prayer. And I think it's prepared me for the rest of my life.
And so you as a spiritual director put a value on spiritual direction. Why is that important?
For me, I have had a particular spiritual director since about 1980, the same person who's been able to follow how God has been working in my soul and who challenges me from time to time, or who recalls what I said before and wonders maybe how does that fit with now, so that I'm able to see better my own journey and to see where it's going and to be challenged to go deeper.
So when did you first know that God's invitation was to religious life?
Very young, very young. In grade school. It gradually developed. I think perhaps from my first communion on, where there was a sense of the presence of God, and especially in the Eucharist. And as I got older and up into maybe 6th or 7th grades, I became more and more convinced that I wanted, at that time I was saying I wanted to belong to God. Not that we don't all belong to God, but this very special thing that I was really longing for. But I had to wait a long time before I found the where. I had seen a number of religious congregations. We lived just down the street from the Dominicans and used to go to Mass up at their convent. And I went to school with the Holy Name Sisters. I went to school for a year with the Notre Dame de Namur Sisters. My father worked in a hospital with the Sisters of Providence, and I was a patient there from time to time, and I knew them. In fact, I even started going to nursing school with them before I entered, because I wasn't, nothing seemed to be just the right place. I would wish it had been, because I wanted very much to enter. In fact, I thought of being a Carmelite, but that just didn't seem to be there for me. So, until I met the Society, I was kind of wandering.
So one of the characteristics of the Society is our cor unum. How have you witnessed that or experienced that in community life?
I think it's the mutual support that I've experienced in that. And we have the same documents. We have the same information that comes from the provincial house, from the mother house. And so I sense a unitedness, not just with the people that I live with, but much broader than that, with the province, with the Society, worldwide, at some level. And I think that is the cor unum, to have that kind of vision. Not that we all see things alike, but to have a global vision that overlaps from one person to the other. There's a connection.
Okay, so this last part, I just need you to introduce yourself, and that you're, a member of the Society or a religious of the Sacred Heart, however you want to word that, and then anything else that you want to say, how you want to define yourself, if at all, and then just a short answer to the question of when did you know that you wanted to join the Society. So there may be some of that other answer that comes back. So.
Well, I'm Mariana Torrano, a religious of the Sacred Heart, and I've done a number of things since I entered the Society, including teaching, doing psychological work, being a spiritual director, and now living on an Indian reservation. I always wanted to be a religious, as far as I can remember back, but I didn't know where. And I had seen a number of other religious orders. But at one point I was a senior in high school, and Lone Mountain College, run by our nuns, had an open house for the seniors in the area. And I went. Some of my friends decided to go, and I decided to go with them. And I walked up those steps, and something inside of me began to come alive. And when I walked in that door, I knew. It was one of the things that just happens sometimes. I knew that's where I belonged. And an interesting thing, my novice mistress said to me, "What was it that you saw when you entered that building? What was it?" And I said, 3 things. I saw love, I saw humility, and I saw prayer. And she said, "You saw a great deal." And to me, that was the heart of it. And to me, it was incredibly attractive. So I asked to enter, basically.
Perfect.